Yes. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ross. You gonna say something?
Yeah, this is live, isn't it? Like it gets broadcast out, doesn't it?
No, no, it
Not
will.
live?
No, to
Well,
our,
it's live, it's not broadcast.
it's not
Right.
broadcast to our
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
only. So if you want to turn off, that's fine. You can turn your screen off.
Well,
I'm totally fine with that. Whatever you want to do, I'm good.
I'd rather sit in the background and not actually be seen on the screen because I didn't
Well,
realise how rough I look out of bed.
just just mute your video then. Go ahead and mute your video.
Yeah, I'll just mute the video. Thank
Totally
you.
fine with that. Totally fine with that. No, it's all good. We what I want to try and do now is I want to and again ask as many questions as you want. Stop me. This is for you. I already know how to do all this. So if you guys have any questions or hey, is there an easier way to do this? Maybe it's something we can discover together because I don't pretend like I know every single thing, but this is some cool stuff that I started doing. So I wanted to show you guys kind of what we're doing. So I'm going to screen share now. Let me go to this screen. Yes. Okay. So in a couple seconds, you should see my Pixlr screen. You'll see my granddaughter, and you will see a picture of a picture that I took when I was on vacation in Alaska. This is an area when we were leaving out of Vancouver. So here's an image here, and I have an image in the background as well, but I'm not going to use that one. That one's for a later demo. So what I want to do, just to kind of show you around, these are two pictures that I did this ahead of time, so that way you didn't have to sit there and watch me show this particular thing. So what I've done is I have, and you are seeing this, right? This is showed up as a,
Yeah.
okay, just making sure. What I'm doing here, first off, I want to take this picture. I want to get here near this little buoy that's out here, or this little lighthouse looking thing or something like that. So first thing I want to do is I want to crop that image. So I'm just going to get that part of it and just kind of take a section of it. So that way I can make that bigger. So I'm going to first of all, and up here's the crop key. If you highlight in Pixlr these things, usually if you hover over them, it'll tell you what it is. Now I've already chosen it, so that's why it's not hovering, but let me just get out of that and just show you again. So if I hover over this is to move something, so I can move the picture around. This is the crop tool. So I've selected the crop tool. I'm going to drag with my left mouse to select this area. So now I've got this, and if I just punch that twice, I think I double click. Yeah, there you go. So now it shows the picture, but you can see it's at 20%. I want that bigger. I want it so I can work with it. I want it 100%. So now I've got this image that's 100%, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Here, let me move this one out of the way for right now, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing, where I am, what the image looks like. This is 100% of the image right now. So this is what I have. Okay, so you can see that. So this is a little light tower. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to do, this is a cool thing that you can do, and this I'm going to teach you a couple things about layer mask and how to make like a ghost image. Okay, so that's
Okay,
what
if you were to happen to crop this again,
mm-hmm.
Just the thing in the water, could you make that even bigger still?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now keep in mind, the more you do this to an image that you've already cropped, it's better to crop the first time, but I'll do it right now so you can see. We're going to do it because you asked. So if I wanted to just get this water tower and I do it again, I can do it again, and I can make it even bigger. See how it's kind of blurry?
Yeah.
And it's because I've done it twice. But if I uncrop and uncrop again, now I've got that. It's a huge image. See, it's 3,000 by 4,000. I can actually make this. I can do this another way. I can do image and size. Now let's make it like 400 or 450. Now it takes the whole image and makes it a lot smaller. Now I want to crop just a section of it. You have to be real careful with that because it will degrade whenever you whenever you take it down like that. Does that make sense? See how blurry it is? Anytime you change the image size, it starts to pixelate and stuff. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So you have to be real careful when you're doing that, and that's not the way I want to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, let me go to, let's bring this down to that size. And I'm going to crop this area. All right, so there's my image. Now, what I want to do is oh no, see, that's not what I want to do. Hold on. I'm going to redo this. I'm going to open that again. Remember that number, 75006. File, open image, and go to oops. And it's something like right there. There it is. Okay, there. Okay. Because I've already messed with that other one, I'm not going to save it. So I want to make sure that I have this. Okay, so now I crop it. I want about that size. That's the image I want. Get it up to about 100%. Somewhere close to that. Just something to work with, something that I can see. There we go. We're getting close. Maybe a little bit bigger, just so I can see that it's enough in there. Okay, so now what I want to do, here's where I want to take, okay, I want to make kind of a ghost image of my granddaughter. I can edit now on this image where I can take out stuff, or I can edit the image once it's already in the other image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two images. So let me just show you a cool thing. I can take this image and drag it into here. So now she's inside that other image and she's over top of it. How do I know that she's over top of it? Because if I go right here, I'm going to show you the layers. Here's the background. Here's the background copy. Okay. Obviously, this image that's here, now I'm going to take, I don't want to crop anymore. What I want to do is I want to move tool, so I can move that image. If you look, it's back there. This is, and they have shortcuts. I can hit V if you learn the keyboard shortcuts for these things. You have V and C to crop, V to move. So I can do, I have the image there on top of the other one, and over here is where you can see that it's on top. If I come over to this side, it says background, then background copy. One thing I always like to do whenever I'm editing, so I don't mess up the original, I'm going to take this background. You can see my little hand over top of that background, and I'm going to create a layer copy. So I'm going to create a new layer. It gave me a copy of that background. So then I'm going to unlock this and uncheck it. So now it's not shown. So it still looks the same. Everything still looks the same. I have a background copy in this. It's just that, see, it's a copy of it. Just makes it easier. Okay. So now I have this image of my granddaughter, and you can see the one I'm moving because it's on top and it's selected over here. I want to make this much smaller. So what I do is I go into Edit and Free Transform. Okay. Somebody say something because my headset goes off. This always happens to me. Just say something, anything.
Boogie boogie.
There we go. Good. You have to do that every once in a while for me. Just because it does that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this image a lot smaller. So to do this, I'm going to drag down, and you see how it does all weird and stuff? I mean, because it's free transform. So I'm going to undo that because I don't want to do the, okay, so to undo that, because I'm not sure the size, I might make her too skinny, or I might make her too fat or something like that. So what I'm going to do is in order to change that back, whenever you click off that image, it says, do you want to apply the changes? Right now I'm going to hit no, because I'm going to get it back to its original size.
Could you hold the control key down like you do in PowerPoint, I think it is?
Great question.
And drag it and make it so it keeps the same shape regardless.
Proportional, yeah. That's what I'm going to show you right now. So now, and that's a great question. I mean, that's exactly where I was going with this. I was showing you the way when you make a mistake, or you're like, oh my God, that's not at all what I wanted to do. I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and once I take a corner, I hold down the Shift key. When I hold down the Shift key, so no matter what I do, it always stays proportional as long as I'm right there. So it always be the right size. So that should answer your question right there. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So now I'm going to make it so she is kind of that size, about the size of the the little lantern out there or whatever that is. And I'm going to put it right beside it, kind of beside it like that. Okay. It's almost going to look like she's holding that. Okay. All right. So then when I come off the image, just as I did before, do you want to apply the changes? This time, yes, I do. Okay. So one thing that's cool is I have that background copy, and this is actually, I'm going to label this. This is the baby, and this is the land. So now I have the baby and the land. So now I'm on the baby image, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the eraser tool, and I'm just going to go, I'm going to take out that pole. And if you see what happens when I'm erasing like this, it's kind of cool. Takes a lot of that away. So I can take that pole out of the picture. Boom. Okay. Very fuzzy, very, see there, that's kind of a way to do it. I can change the brush size, like this is at 150, so I can go to 25. If I want to zoom in just on that section so I can get a little bit more detailed, I can do this. I can take away like that. See, so I can take out that sand that's down below, take out some of this. But if you see, it's kind of rudimentary and there's still a lot of white and stuff like that. I took out part of her arm. So it's very, very basic. And I want this kind of, and you notice I'm using the feathered one. I have two choices on these brushes. I have a hard where I can take out, and it takes out exactly. I mean, it's harsh. There's no, but I like to use the feather so I can feather out some of that stuff. So it kind of gives like a little diffusion between the two things. Okay. That's a lot of stuff that I've done. You can undo up to 10 times, and I think I may have gone too far on this. I don't know if I did, but I'm going to go back. Yeah. Okay. So up to 10 times. So just remember, I can't get back to the original when I do that. So there's no undo for that particular thing. So I wanted to show you that on purpose too, because Pixlr is limited on that. It's not unlimited undo. So it is limited on what you can do. So now I'm going to have to put that image back in. So I'm going to take this particular image of the baby, and I'm going to throw it in the trash. Boom, it's gone. So now you see how it took the layer away. So now I'm back to this image, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go back here. Boom. Edit. Anybody remember which one it is? Free transform.
That's it.
Free transform. So when I'm on free, that's all right. When I'm on free transform, because it's such a huge image, I need to take this, and what key do I hold down to make it proportional? Shift key. Thank you. Shift key. Thank you. Yep. Shift key. Get it about the right size. Let's see here.
Can you take that down to pixel level to where you can actually knock out more closely the white parts or the pole or whatever?
Sure, I can crop it down. Absolutely. So if I have right here, I can take this crop, and then hold on, I have to save that first. So I save that proportion. Now I want to crop it, and I can actually crop this. So I just want this. So now she's just there. See? It's just her. The problem is when you do that, you're cropping the whole thing. If you noticed when I did the crop, now the image behind is cropped as well. So that's not the way to do that. What you want to do is, okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me get back to, let me trash this again. All right, so now I have that layer. Go back to, down to where this is manageable. I'm going to add this. So I can crop ahead of time. So with this image, what you're talking about is just take right here and crop this image just like that. So I would want to crop it before I get it in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now when I crop it and I put it over, now it's a little bit more manageable in the size, etc., and everything else. Now I'm ready to go. Now I want to free transform, edit, free transform, and I want to hold down the shift key. I want to make it so the size like she's holding that up, almost right there where her hand will go around. That'd be good. And then I'm going to click off of it as soon as I do, apply any changes. Now, here's another way to do what I was doing. Remember how I was erasing the edges and stuff? This is kind of cool. This is what I wanted to show you about a layer mask. I can add a layer mask. Now, one thing that's alarming when you first do this, couple things. Get an idea of where she is. Okay, I'm sensing that right above this tree right here, that's kind of where she is. Because you don't get a chance to see it when you get ready to do this trick that I'm going to do. And then you can bring in things and take away things. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to add a layer mask. Boom, she disappears. You're like, oh my God, where is she? The biggest thing is you want to make sure that the layer mask is selected. You see all the red lines around this? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush tool. Okay, and I'm going to take that brush tool, and remember I said she's about right here where this tree is. So what I want to do is I want to kind of see how it's giving me green, and I'm holding down my mouse. See how she's showing up? And if you look at the opacity, I have it at 31, and I have diffuse. Diffuse helps it blend with your background. Opacity gives it the ghost look that I'm looking for. Remember I said I'm looking for the ghost look? So she's starting to look like she is just sitting there in the background. See him? She's starting to come in, and I can take little parts. And if I get too much white, see how there's too much white on the sides? I really just want to get her in that bathing suit and her legs. And so I start to see that starting to blend in, starting to come in. I got to get her arm that's holding this up, because I think that's the cool part of it, is that she's actually holding that. See, and I'm blending each side, so it actually looks like she's holding that. And then I got her other arm right here. Let me see how much I got. Okay, so it cut off there. That's fine. So now I've done too much of the white section, right? So let's expand this a little bit. Now I can come over here and take the eraser tool, because remember, I'm still on the layer mask. Before I was putting the layer mask in, now I'm taking some of the layer mask away. Check that out. Look at there. Now I can get rid of that white, make it look like I can bring her hand in. How about that? Isn't that cool? Now I can just bring in the things I want. I'm just slowly tapping and moving and taking stuff away. Boom, boom. Really cool effect that you can do. You know, blending in. I definitely don't need any of that blue blanket that's down there. I can just kind of show her foot a little bit. There you go. I don't need any of that. There you go. Get that little bit of white out there. And luckily the water has some white too, so it kind of looks like the water as well. And even if I overdo it and go over, I can always, instead of eraser, I can use the pen to bring something back if that's what I want to do. I can take it out over here so you can see like she's actually kind of like holding that. It's really kind of cool. You can see how I'm coming about and getting just the sections that I want. Make it look like her arm, not like I added something. Kind of looks like ghostly, like she is holding that. And you want some of it to disappear. You want some of the background to show. You know what I'm saying? I can make this smaller. I can get that brush down to 15. So if I need to get like in between her, see, that was good. I just took out that little bit under her arm there, and I can get real close to her neck and take some of that out. Masking is really cool. So now when I expand this image and I make this up, you can kind of see a ghostly image of her holding that thing right there. Really quite cool. Cool trick, cool features, cool stuff that you can add and make it look good. And you can actually, you know, make your opacity more of what you're doing. You know, when you do your tool here, you can change your opacity so it's even more like really faded in, and the diffusion makes the edges when you're pressing it, makes it the green not as much, so it doesn't stand out as much. So it's really cool. That's a really cool effect that we do. Now
could you take the picture as it is right now and make her smaller, more like the pylon or that buoy thing is?
Yeah, I can. Now, here's the deal. When you do that, though, keep in mind, Richard, with this layer mask, the layer mask stays with what you have. Yeah. So if I go and I edit that image and make it smaller, my layer mask will no longer match that. So I'm going to have to re-layer mask. So, yeah, so right now I have it. I have her selected. Notice that I came off of the layer mask and I went onto her image. And I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, because I want to do the same thing again. I'm going to hold down the shift so I can keep it proportional. And see the layer mask, how it stayed back there? So now I'm going to have to relayer mask. So I can get her back in the right area, but the layer mask does no good. So what I can do, I'm going to hit yes, save it, and I'm going to take remove. Let me see if I can delete layer mask. Boom. Okay.
That could almost give it a ghostly shadow effect behind it, though, if
It
you wanted
could.
that.
Absolutely. Yes. There's so much you can do. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And that's what's really, really cool about what you can do and what it can do. So yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, almost gives you I know what you're saying, like a shadowing of
Yeah.
that, like almost makes it scarier
Yeah.
with the shadowing.
Yeah.
So I can bring her in now with a smaller image. I'm doing the exact same thing. See how I'm bringing that in? So yes, I can do all of that. And I can change this to the opacity, a little less opacity. So when I
That does
do
look
it,
ghostly like that.
I'm telling you,
You're bringing it in.
I'm telling you, it's a really cool thing. It's really neat how it does this stuff. But it just, I mean, people are looking, oh, wow, look, it looks like there's somebody holding that. Look at that, how it goes, how scary it is, things like that. See, I should have done this on Friday the 13th, huh?
I want to know why she's haunting a light bulb.
Who knows why? But yeah, see, and you're right. See, leaving some of that white on there too, that's kind of cool too, because it almost makes it like it brings it to your attention. What is that? It almost makes you go down and look at it, that kind of thing. But if I wanted to take some of that out, I can always, just kind of fade some of that out of there. Take some of the white part out. Really cool. It's fun. I mean, it's a cool thing. It's a neat thing to do, a neat little trick. Here's a thing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is that was layer masking and how to use a layer mask and how to do it raw without a layer mask. I showed you that first and how you had to kind of be precise in taking out that outer image. This is the thing I did for all of our different little leagues. I pulled all these different images in, and I wanted to give a different color background for each one. But this is a really cool tool, and I want to show you how to use this because you see how I have that like different colored cloud kind of looking thing. I'm going to talk to you today about brushes, different brushes you can use. It's so stinking cool. So I'm going to take so I didn't have to download each one of these images. I'm just using these as an example. These are all our different leagues. And when I save this as a PXD. So if you save it as a file save, it's a PXD. What that means, it's a layered pixeler image. That means I can reuse this and keep the layers. Once I save it as a JPEG or a PNG, there's no longer any layers. It becomes one flattened image. Because I saved it as a PXD, all my layers are still showing up over here, like Blue Ridge. Now watch, I'm down in the bottom right corner, I'm going to unselect Blue Ridge. I'm going to unselect Northwest. So I unselect Greenville Red. So I unselect all these. That means that each layer is still there. That when I saved it as a PXD, it kept all of those as a separate layer. And see, I added the colors. Here's all the colors. I can take those out. So now I have a blank image. Now let's take this and start over. Let's say I wanted to move this. I'm going to go to move. So I have to click. You can click V or go over here and select it. And I want this to be up here this time. And then I want Northwest again, but I want this one to be, oops. Now see, this is what happens. You have to go over. I did select Northwest, but I have to go to it. See how I go to it? Then I can move it. I tend to do that quite often. So I'm going to so if I go to Greenville, that's cool that I picked it, but I have to select it over here. So it turns blue. So I'm good right there. Go to Wade Hampton. Wade Hampton's cool, but see, I'm moving Greenville because I chose it, but I didn't move it. So the key is to, even if you go like this, then select it. There you go. So now I have that. There I have that. And I have to select it. Boom. And then I have this. And that's good. Oops, if I didn't select it. Select it, move it up a little bit. Boom. So now I have all those. Okay, so now this time, this is what I wanted to show you. This is kind of the cool stuff about these brushes that you can do. I can create some pretty cool brushes by adding a background. So what I want to do, first of all, instead of using this colors, I'm going to use a brand new one. So what I'm going to do is add a new layer. Boom, new layer. When I add that layer, I want to make sure it's below everything, all these ones that I have selected, where I selected each one of these different names. I want to make sure it's below that because I want this to go behind. So one thing I can do is I can say, okay, first of all, I want to draw. I want to pick a brush. Okay, here's some brushes that I have. That's kind of cool. I can do something like this just so you can see. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, it gives you 20. So I'm going to make the diameter a little larger. Not that big, maybe 100. Actually, 70 is good. Okay. So it takes that, and I can do this kind of thing, and I'm just kind of holding my left mouse down and making that. And if I stay in the same spot and keep hitting it, keep hitting it, keep hitting it, see how it gives a solid near the middle, but outside is kind of like, it's kind of cool. So that's kind of a neat thing you can do. Let me go to, I'm going to change this, get rid of the brush tool. And go back to that one. Okay, so now, so here's what's cool in Pixlr. There's a lot more. Check this out. This is so cool. Charcoal. And it might be hard for you to see, but you can do lines and it has different things like these little splotch marks. I can click. If I want one of those, and I think this is a cool pattern, maybe one that I want to use, I'm going to click it and it adds it. If you notice, it added it. The last thing I think was this line right here where we got that before. This will add and it'll show you what you're doing. See how I added that? Okay, let's try it again. Let's get this one. What does this one look like? Boom, that's kind of cool. And remember, my opacity is at 37. If I change that back up to 100, this will give you a true thing. Like that's what that one's looking like. That's kind of cool. I can add that and put the fuzzy edges. Let's try this one, see what this looks like. Yeah, that's kind of neat. All right, let's get rid of some of those. Get rid of this. I'll erase them each time just so you can kind of see, but I can get a lighter one, like this 73 is lighter, but see how it starts to, you can go in one spot. That's kind of cool that you're able to do that. Brushes are so much fun. I have so much, I've gotten into this because I can make that middle real dark, and then it makes the outsides kind of blend or give a weird thing. Then you can have straight line patterns. I can do something like this and then pull my image over. If I want to take, let's take this northward one and bring it over. I can bring this over. See there? So you can just kind of give it a look, something like that, where it's coming off the top, or do something like this. But if I want to go back to this layer and add these where I was, I can make this come out, make this come up, you know, boom, that kind of thing. It's really kind of cool, the stuff you can do like that. Let's do that. Let's go to back here, get rid of that brush. Okay, brush. Okay, let's try another one. If I have, you can do a small like that. You know, something like that, where it gives you a straight line, but you can make your impression how you want. Let's go here. Let's do, what's cool too is I can, if I want to take this and I want to change the color, I went over here to the color palette and selected right here, the black one that's selected. And I say I want to, I don't know, maybe not red, because well, yeah, this dark red, that'd be good. So now I can do something like this. And that gives me a pattern that I can do back there. Come off of that. Let's find another. Okay, I don't like these. Let's try something different. That was cool. Charcoal was neat. Let's try cracks. That's kind of neat. Some different kind of cracks. So I add those. And what it does, it left the charcoal, but now I have these cracks. So now I can have a big crack there that I'm doing. And I just pressing the button a bunch of different times, and it kind of gives me that pattern. Okay. Have 100% up, and I can take out the diffuse. So now it's like real cracks. But because I had the diffuse on, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of neat too, being able to do that. And then Then if I want to move my logo over, if I have this one, go here and choose it, and I want to move that over top. That's kind of neat. You know what I'm saying? It has like a little crack, wall behind it. Really kind of cool stuff that you can add that you're doing. All right, let me move this
It
back.
looks like blood vessels to me.
Right. I mean, it could. Absolutely. You can make it, if that's the look you're going for, you could definitely do that kind of thing. So that's what's crazy. All right. So again, remember, I can only go back 10, and I went a whole bunch. So what I want to do here is get rid of that color. So I want to erase it. I want to make this very large, and I want this set up. Boom. And I'm just erasing that. Oh, I did the wrong one. See, I did the Northwood one. That's not the one I want to do. Let's go back to colors and erase this. There we go. Now we're good. That's the other thing you'll find out real quick. If you're not on the right layer, you'll edit things that you don't mean to edit. So let's go back to another brush. Let's go back and look again. Really cool stuff that you can do. Again, how you want to and how big you want, like the diameter. I want that a lot. See, I don't want that big. I want it actually smaller. Boom. So now when I do it and I have it on eraser, I have to put the brush tool. Remember, it'll erase the same way. So if I'm brushing with this color red, and let's say I do that, something like that, which is kind of cool. And then I want to change this to, I want to pick another pattern and let's just get this green here. Okay. And then I want to add that color over top. Kind of neat. Kind of gives it a little shadowing, but different color shadowing kind of thing. And then I can use the eraser to do the same thing. So now I have the eraser with that same pattern. And look, I can put these white lines to almost give it a faded look too of those. Isn't that kind of cool? Love that kind of stuff. I just think that's so neat. There's really a lot of neat stuff you can do. So I have that pattern, and then I want to go to another pattern on top of that. Let's go back to, let's say, this one where we have, and I don't want an eraser. I want it actually on the pencil. Oh, but let me change that brush to, let's do this, 61. So now I'm just taking a pattern. I still have green as my color. I wanted to take white as my color. I can make some of this come out like that, or if I wanted black, let's say I wanted black to show through, just to give it that kind of yeah, shadowy, cloudy. Yeah, exactly. It's all in what you're trying to get out of it. It's how do I want to get this in my image to make my image more, and this is going to be boom, just a shot. Boom, just a shot. Kind of cool. If you wanted something different, instead of this one, I want to get this one, so it's crossways kind of, but I want it smaller. Yeah, something like boom, there you go. So now it's building almost like a mask underneath kind of thing, or a standout where that showing through. Kind of gives it like
creating brush.
What's that?
You know how you just chose that brush that's on the horizontal rather than the vertical.
Right.
So you can't just grab what you've done and the previous one and tilt it round. You actually have to have a brush created that is on that horizontal.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of choices here. It's like I got dirt. Dirt's one. See how it has a couple that are horizontal in that way. Smudge is pretty good. See how this one is horizontal, and then this one up here. And you can diffuse them too. So if it's not exactly the way you want, you can do those kind of things. There's splatter. Splatter's pretty cool. Splatter has vertical, horizontal, and an angle. It's got all kinds of different stuff. That's one I use quite a bit, is splatter. So if I add that, splatter is one that I'll use like right here. See? Boom, I just splattered some paint or something. Then if I take some,
that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. If I take some red, and this time I want to go more vertical the other way, but I want it smaller even, just to kind of give it a whole nother look, I can just do something like that, where they crossed up, almost like they're matching. You know what I'm saying? Like it coming off of one another. And then if I want to just a small little something here and make it real small. Let's go here. Yeah, now And we'll use the green just to blend the green color, just to give us something so you can kind of see how it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome, some of the cool stuff. And if you didn't like any of that, I mean, I think that's pretty cool what you can do and how you can make those kind of things. And if you don't like any of it, you can either remove the layer, I can or just uncheck it. I didn't really remove it. I just unchecked it. So, and I can start over, or I can sit here and I can erase. I can take the eraser, choose my brush. I want to choose the round one because I want to get rid of everything. Oops. And then I can just erase as I want. Like I can erase a section if I want to. Boom. Or I can do something like this. I can do all of that. And if I don't want to erase it, there you go. Okay. Let's do that. There we go. Okay. One thing that's cool too is I'm going to select just one of these. Let's just use this. And I'm going to test this. I did not try this beforehand, but I want to test this. I want to see if this works. Oops. I want to keep that one. Okay. So now I have that. Okay. I'm going to put this, and I'm going to take these colors and layers, and I'm just going to erase what's on there. Let me take layer 9. I'm going to move it up. I'm going to drag it and move it up near where I'm working. So that way it's right next to whatever I'm working on. Boom. Right there. Okay, so now they're right next to each other. I'm going to erase this. Just erasing the back layer because it won't erase this because it's just erasing the black layer. Now what I want to do is I want to, using the brush tool that I just got, I'm going to diffuse a little bit. Actually, I'm going to try and no, that's good. That's a good angle too. I got right there. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to select the pencil. I'm going to diffuse it a little bit. Just at 100% opacity, I just want to see what this does. So first of all, I want to select this color. I need to get my color picker, which is right here, over here on the left-hand side. And I want to choose this red because I want that red to feel like it bled over or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and because this is a lower layer, I'm going to do something like this. Way too small for me. Undo. But what I can do is I can make this a lot bigger. Yeah, now we're getting better. I really want this. Yeah, okay. So now, there we go. Kind of having that come from the background. Okay. I can actually put this on top as well. Okay. So if I do this and put this on top, now that looks kind of neat, how it's kind of fading out that red, right? If it's taking too much of the word away, I can always hit the eraser and take out some of that. Let me just put a little bit of a smudge here and take out some of, but it just takes out a little bit. Kind of cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It gives it a look like, like it's fading off of that and taking some of the color with it. Now, I can do the same thing with black. I can go all the way over here, and whatever, this is the color that it's choosing. So if I choose that, see how it's gray, I can choose these, or to take the black that I wanted to do. So I can choose those. Now, I want to try something else with a little bit of, let's get a harsher, a more poignant, something like that. Okay, let's go here. And I want this to be the pencil again. Don't diffuse. 100% is good. Let's see if that adds anything. Okay, that's cool, but I want to take some of that out now. I think that's neat. It's probably not in the right spot. Let me undo. I want it more of taken from the black, like it's coming from those black. And then I'm going to take the eraser and I'm going to clear out some of that, because what I want to do is kind of give it like the black is bleeding out. So I can take this off of there, like it's taking it just from the black. Leave the red and it's just coming from the black areas and still leaving that red. Oops, undo that.
Mm.
Isn't that cool? I love
Mm.
that kind of like the black's just taking over and just, and I can, by me just kind of just tapping is all I'm doing, just taking out. So yeah, it's on there, but it's not as pronounced. It's just erasing some of that black color that I've got. I think that's kind of cool. And if I want to clean it all, I can just kind of take that and give the paw back to where it was and let it look like that stuff is just coming from underneath that claw. So I clean the claw off. There you go. So now that black looks like it's running from over there. And I can actually take out, let's do this. Let's take one of these. There's Richard back.
Mm.
Bring this down. And because I'm still on the eraser, what I can do is see how it takes some of the black out by doing this and the red? By doing that, or I kind of like this fade better. Let me undo that. So I don't necessarily like that one. That's cool too. Is that you can, oh, there you go. See how I can take it so it's not so black. Just fade it down. And I'm just quickly moving my mouse to the left. So it looks like that red and black are flying off of there. And then if I want to put, let's say I want to put words like, let's just say champions. Okay. So I went to text. Okay. And I'm going to type the word champions. Okay. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Let's just make it, there you go. I'm going to have it right here. Right in here is good. Okay. So now I have that. Now I want this text to be kind of bent and flared a little bit to make this kind of cool and see how this works. So to do that, I have to make sure that I'm on champions, which I just moved it. I didn't mean to move it, but let me go back up here. That's kind of cool looking too. See how it's behind? Because I put it in a lower level. Look at that. That's kind of neat, actually. So here's what I want to do. I showed you edit free transform, right? I can do that. Let me try free distort, though, the one right below it. And if you look, it won't do anything. You're like, why won't this work? I mean, I have it selected. Why won't it work? With text, you have to make it so you can make it an image. All right, you have to convert it to an image. So to do that, you have to rasterize. Have no idea what this means. But by me rasterizing it, now if you notice over here, now it's just like an image like anything else. Okay? So now the word champions is rasterized. Now I can edit free distort. Now notice the points. Now watch this. This is what's kind of cool. I can take that text, make it like this, bounce it around, and look at that. Isn't that cool? So now I can throw that in there, that these guys are the champions. Oops, nope, not yet. Okay, so it didn't take it because, okay, edit, free distort, because I want to get it, I hit the wrong button is all. I just have to make sure I stay on image. Like I want it right here, follow that little pattern of that thing that I did over there.
Kind of like weird word art.
It is like word art. I mean, in a lot of ways it is. Yeah, that's right, Richard. But it's really quite cool. This, I mean, getting the right angles and doing different things and working with different things, trying to get it to. See, that's kind of cool. I think that's neat.
And it almost gives it a texture of being twisted at the same time.
Right, exactly. That's what the distort's all about. So now when you're painting these background colors that I'm using, you know, if I can use some of these colors and do some of these things like with these smudges and patterns and things like that I'm doing, this is one that I use very often is this one. And I can do like and let me go back. I want to go back onto, I want to make sure I'm not on the champions because I don't want to draw on that one because it's draw over top of it. What I want to do is I want to go back down to this layer. Wait a minute. Where's the layer? Oh, it's layer 9. I didn't label it. I should label it. You should always label it. See, now I got this. It's back behind. But layer 9's above, so I move that below the word champions. Boom, there you go. And that's, I mean, unless you want that effect, then that's kind of cool. You know, you can have that too, if that's what you're going after. And then I can change the brush and do another one. I can do things like this where I can have a straight line. You know, something like that. Or if I wanted it bigger, let's say I wanted it real big this time. So it's one big swipe. Oh, that's too big. Yeah, okay. So if I go from here, boom, that's kind of cool. Kind of gives it a blur like when I did it real fast like that. And it's all behind the word champions. If I put it in front, that's kind of cool too. Just kind of gives it the a layered look there. If I wanted something on top of champions, I can add, you know, I can add something, a layer above it. You know, I could do, so if I'm on champions and I want a new layer, let's see. Okay, I have to move this over because this is promotion is in the way. But all right, now I want to add a new layer. Boom, layer 11. I can name this top of champions. So anything I do on top of champions is going to show up here. Okay, so if I do this and I do, let's say I go to white color, choose a white color. I'm going to just, oh, I don't know this, but I want a little bit of diffusion in it. And I want to take the opacity down so it's not, it doesn't cover up my letters, but it just puts an effect, like a spray, a white spray that I just did over that. Kind of cool, huh?
Mm.
Really neat stuff that you can do.
Once you've actually placed the brush stroke effectively, you can't grab that and just move that one brush stroke if you want it lower down or anything, can you? You've got to go back and erase.
That's correct. That is correct. When you're using a brush, you remove brush strokes is all you can do. I mean, that would be great, but what you'd have to do is you'd have to create. So, for example, a good example, you know, it's top of champions, right? Isn't that what we just chose, top of champions? And
Yep.
this is the brush stroke I just used. One thing I can do, since that's the only thing that I've drawn, I actually can go to the move tool and move that down. See how that moved off? You can barely see it changing.
Oh, yeah, I can.
But if I add anything else to it, it's going to move everything else with it. So if I have individual items, I can do that. See how it's covering up the BR?
Yes.
See how I'm kind of moving it? And you can see. And one way to test too, like this is a clear background. See how it has a checkerboard? That means it's a clear background. I'm going to undo my move. Okay, I'm going to make this easier for you. So I'm going to create a layer at the very bottom. I'm going to go to colors and I'm going to add a new layer. On layer 12, I'm going to make the whole background black. Okay, I'm going to take the paintbrush and I'm going to make layer 12 black. So now you can see a lot easier what I'm doing.
Cool,
So
that's effective.
yeah, so if I have the top of the champions, the top of champions, which is that, remember that white little bit?
Yeah.
If I move it down, you can see where I'm actually moving it. See, that's the layer that I created and I added that. So that kind of gives you a visual ahead of time so you can see what it's going to.
If you've done, say, several brush strokes, what you're doing right now, is there a way of like undoing what you did just on that particular layer? And that particular thing?
Yes, but it's only going to undo the last 10 things you did. So yes and no. So if I go back to the BR where I originally started and I want to change something that I did there.
Well, except if you want to move it down, you know, a little, and you've done a couple of things, you could kick back to where there's nothing there and then do it more.
No, you cannot. It'll only go back a history of 10. So, and it's only of the last things that you just did. So if I go back to Blue Ridge, it's not going to change the history for Blue Ridge or BR. But I can move BR because it's an individual thing.
I don't mean that.
I know what you mean. And that's why I'm saying, no, you cannot. let's say I did something on this BR originally and I wanted to move it down a little bit. No, I couldn't do that. Or if I, took out this claw and I wanted to put it back. No, I couldn't, because it can only go back 10 steps of the last 10 things I did, not anything before that. That make sense?
Yeah, but that's not quite what I meant. What I meant was if you put the white strip in there and,
right.
and then maybe get another white strip over it. Now you've done two things at that point.
Right.
So couldn't you back out of those two things, in other words, to make another white strip lower?
Yes, you can do that. So for example, this is the white strip that I've done. You can see that I'm moving that one white strip. Okay. So that's this, right? And I moved some stuff, did a bunch of things. So I have to make sure that the white strip is somewhere in these top 10 of the history. You see what I'm saying? So that white strip would have to be in one of those things, because I did moving the Blue Ridge paint bucket tool. Let's go back. Okay, see, so I added that. That's where I added the background. So I can, but the problem is I can't go specifically to that particular thing. What I would say to you, Richard, the best thing to do, since I only have this little bit of white strip on here and I want to start over, or even if I made another one, let's say I took another, I'm just going to do what you said. I'm going to say, let's say I make a white strip here, change this color to white, and I'm going to do this. Okay, so now I've got two white strips now, and they're combined together now, and I don't like that. That's not what I want. And let's say I've done a bunch of other things. If I don't have that on here as things to take off, like that original white strip won't come off now. Best thing for you to do is to take your eraser and just get rid of all of that in this particular layer. So I get rid of all the white and start over.
Okay.
That's the only real way. And I hope I answer what you said in that time. I think I got
that would do it.
Yeah. So that's the only way that you can do it. So this layer, so now I'm going to go back into, let's go to this one. This is kind of cool. I don't need it that big. And
so actually, how many layers can you have, Michael?
I want to say 100, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, see, like, boom. There you go. That's kind of cool. But I don't know that for a fact. Be careful with how many layers you have, though, just because, I mean, I think you can have up to 100, but I don't think you'll ever get to that. So that's my final product right there, what I want to get. But it's really kind of cool with that black background too. It kind of makes it look neat, makes it kind of stand out. So that's another thing too. So if I wanted to do this, let's say this is what my final image I wanted to look like, I could actually take my eraser, since I have those same shapes, I could do let's see, maybe something like this and do white. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm on the black, aren't I? Oh yeah, it should. Oh no, I'm on the eraser. There you go. I can make that white and just make this my image. Kind of give it a, that's kind of cool looking. You know what I'm saying?
Just out of curiosity, if you say you're done with this, can you save it as both a picture itself and also save it as with the layers, so that you can do whatever with layers?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I want to come back to this, is that what you're asking? If I want to come back to this particular image?
What I'm getting what it says, if I want to make it a picture, I can send the picture to whomever without the layers, because they wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. And,
right, exactly. So
I would also have the layers I can still mess with if I want to add.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir, absolutely you can. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this with a new name, 2018 workshop. And I'm going to save it as a PXD. So I can save it with all the layers. I want to save it with all the layers.
Right.
So I'm going to do that first, and I hit OK. I'm not going to do it just because I don't need to save it, but that's what I would do. Save it as a PXD. Then I want to save it to somebody else because they don't need all the layers. I'm going to make it a JPEG and hit OK. I can have the same name. One is a JPEG and one is a PXD. So when I go to search for it, when I go to open image, I can look on, let me go to Google Drive, let me go to, I'm trying to remember one where I have it. Actually, it's Little League District. So right here, see this PXD 2008 District Teams banner?
Yeah.
Right here is a PNG, and right here is a PXD. And see how it's white?
Yeah.
This one has layers. This one just has an image. So when I open this, I'm going to open this one just so you can see. Notice all the layers are gone because this is just a PNG.
Right.
So anything that I erase, it takes that away because there's no layers. If I file, open image, PXD, that's a different story. Now it comes up and I can get rid of each layer. When you saw me first come on, I took all those layers. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Just save it two different ways, basically, is what it's doing.
Yeah.
So you can have multiple files open at once.
Yes.
Bring each of them in on top of each other if you want to.
Yes.
Like you did before with the photo on top of the boy or boy.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yes, exactly. Like this is the original one with the ghostly behind. Yes, absolutely. You can do that kind of thing. Really makes for you can really get creative. You can do a lot of different things in your creation, and the brush tool to me gives it a really cool look. I mean, you kind of saw that image I just opened. This one, that was fun. I put that up on our website. It kind of gives like the colors by doing the highlight behind and using that brush tool that I use quite often. Kind of gives it a different kind of look. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gives it a different, instead of just having an image there, like if I took all those colors out, here, let me get rid of that. Let me go back to the PXD so you can kind of see that. Image, go to the PXD. See, if I take out, this was what I had originally, which is fine. It just has an image of all the different leagues in our league. But by adding those colors back, that gave it some standout-ish kind of thing. Like this really stands out because of that black in the background or whatever. It makes it stand out at you. So that's the kind of thing you can do by using those brushes as a layer down below, or in the Blue Ridge example here, even the brushes in front. It kind of cool, gives it that kind of look. Kind of blend.
Can you alter the colors, like for example that orange? Can you make it lighter or darker or whatever?
Like this reddish color that's here.
Yeah.
No.
Well, either that, or just on the picture below it, where you have the backgrounds, like orange background, the black background.
Oh, yeah. So if I wanted to, I could take, I see what you're saying. So let's say I wanted to make it truly like an orange.
That's what I was wanting to see.
Yeah, like a bright orange. Let's try and get into like that orange color. And I want to put that in here as a background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my brush. I'm going to choose one of these really cool things. I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to bring it down to size a little bit. Yeah, and I'm going to make that color right here show up. Why won't it show? Got orange selected. It is on a layer. It's on the color layer. Huh. Wonder why it's not doing. Should be. Not sure why it's not. Let's see. Let's see if there's a reason back behind here.
I would think if you were going to do that, you might ought to, like when you were creating the color originally, get it the color you want, so that you don't have to go back and change it.
Right. Well, one thing I can do, let me add a layer here. Okay, so that's on top, so that's going to show up there. Why is it not? It's not painting. Huh. I don't know why it's not painting on there. Should be. Interesting. The answer is no.
I mean, you have to bring that orange to the front instead of being in the back.
Well, you shouldn't. Oh, well, no, it's in front of the color. See, the colors are on the back. That's the very bottom layer.
I know. So wouldn't you have to
So
have
it
that
is.
on top to change it?
It is. 9 is on top. So I just created 9 here.
Oh, okay.
So and that's where I'm trying to make a color mark or whatever, and it's not doing it. I don't know why. Huh. Very strange. I don't know why it's not doing it.
Like if you remove what's on top of it, even though it's on top by you or by looking at it.
Yeah.
Like take Greenville off and the baseball bats and whatnot off and just have the orange.
Oh, I know why. Hold on. It's there. I just have the opacity so low and diffuse. Okay, so now, there we go. That's what the problem was. So let me put Northwest back. Okay, so yes, you can. See there? So like I'm doing this, making that orange. And if I want to make it a different brush, like something like this. So yeah, see how I'm making it orange? That's the way I would do that. And if I wanted to get rid of the yellow and just leave the orange, I would have to go to this one. Oops, not what I meant to do. That's one thing that's kind of tricky too, is when you click on that, sometimes it does bounce around. So if I wanted to get rid of the yellow part, now I have to take the eraser, go up, get the right correct one, which that's fine. That's good. And then take out the yellow. And just be real careful taking out the yellow. So I'm taking out yellow and leaving the orange, but I have to be careful because in this color layer, see how I'm taking out the red and black too?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. So I have to be real careful when you're doing that. Like I can separate each color and each layer and all that kind of stuff. History.
So that would be by adding a separate layer for each of the colors that you want to put in.
You would. Or if I wanted to take this logo, this particular Northwest, and add a layer below it, then I have to make sure that the layer that I'm adding below it would be correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you'd have to get the order of where you've got them top to bottom, correct?
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly. So if I turn off colors, then I'd have to make sure, see, Northwest has that separate layer that's all orange, and I can do that. I just have to make sure that it's, see, I'd have to, yeah, something like this. And that's it. So now that layer is attached to that. One thing that's cool that you can do, now I can make that layer, I can merge down. So now that orange and this blue end, if I merge down, and if you watch right here, Northwest and layer 9 will blend together. So I'm going to do merge down. Now they're together. So if I move that, now that orange goes with it.
So is it only the two that you can connect as a merge down? Or
No, I can keep going. I can merge down. I can keep going. No, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to, but because I want those separate. Because I want to be able to change that back color if I want to. Let me back. I think I can. Oh, I can't, can I? Nope. Definitely don't want to save this. Yeah, okay. Definitely don't want to save this. I'm going to hit no. That's if you want it to stay the way it was original. So you can blend down as much as you want, but once you've blended, that's it. It's blended. So be careful when you do that. But you can certainly do that. Cool stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
What else? Any other questions on anything? We've taken about almost an hour. Yeah, probably an hour. Actually, yes, it's an hour and 13 minutes, according to You guys have any other questions, anything? I think I taught you a whole bunch of different things. I taught you about the ghosting, which I think is kind of cool. I taught you about how to use those cool brushes. A lot of people don't know that you have extra brushes. Everybody thinks that they just have these standard brushes. And you can, when you're erasing stuff, you can erase things by square, circle, any of these, like I said, with the fade a little bit. So you can get that. You can get really minute and small when you're doing it. really cool stuff. I mean, it's got some neat stuff, cracks and, the crushed paper, dirt. They have one that's called dirt. That's kind of neat, where it throws in dirt in certain spots and stuff. You can do those kind of things. You can add that. And then once you add it, now keep in mind, you see how I've added them here? The next time I load up Pixlr, they won't be there. So you have to load them each time you come in. So I can give this whole thing a look like by clicking that. Look at there. I just clicked that and just added that whole thing. Then if I want to feather the edges a little bit, I can go back up here and put the eraser and just kind of make it so it's not a straight line. Let me
You could get it orange.
remember the orange color that I chose down here that he wanted from before?
You just hit it.
I just, whenever I click on there, it's going to do that. So I make this blend a little bit more so it's not a straight line. Just kind of, see there?
You can
Kinda
check
cool.
out that CH for champions also.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. That's what you want to do because you're trying to get that so they can read it. Yep, you got it. Very good.
Yeah, that's good.
And I can change with that CH, let me change the opacity on it so it's not a straight, and I can actually change the brush too. Let me change it to, this is a 61 seems to be what I'm using quite a bit. There you go. So now I can bring those words back in slowly and gradually, kind of fade it using this tool here, but still leaving some dots around. So
It's impressive the amount of choice there.
I think so too. I mean, for a free product and it's online usage, I mean, you can do it on your Chromebook, your tablet, anything. That's what I think is incredible. Yeah, like Richard said, I want to get that champions. There you go. Plus, I can leave some of the other colors. That's kind of neat, though, looking in it. And I can just take away some of this or add in. It's fun. You get to go and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so neat.
So built-in rabbit holes.
Right, exactly. Forever just sitting there going through
distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Andrew can't do it on the phone.
Now, I've got a new camera here, Richard, that I just got in, and it allows me to reach right through it and grab it.
So I'd like one of them, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I'm going to stop the recording. We can chat afterward, but I'm going to stop the recording because I don't want this to be way too long or anything like that. But hopefully you learned a little bit. I hope it was helpful. Some things that you can do on your own. If you learn some tricks, feel free to add to this. Anybody that's watching this and you know a different way of doing something or add to this, feel free.
I didn't know about all those different brushes. That's
Me neither, Andrew. Let me tell you what, when I found that, I was like, this is...
I can imagine your eyes probably got about that big and said, oh boy.
and really, the first thing I thought of was, I got to share this with everybody else, especially in the community. It'd be a great thing. But anybody that watches this, rewatches this, feel free to ask any questions. And if you have some input or better ways of doing stuff, let us know. Thanks.